What's going on, guys? Styx here with the Token Minorities, finally bringing you the finals of APA Academy, and we are up against none other than Jacub, as always, and his Green Bay Pikachus. And before I get into the team, just a reminder that if you guys like this video, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, as it helps us out a lot and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And also, I would like to thank Danza for recording this game. This will be the last game that he ever has to record for me, so big shout outs to him for being awesome about recording all of this and putting in the extra effort to make sure it looks fantastic. And finally, I would like to address the fact that, yeah, I know, Sword and Shield has been out for a month now. No one actually cares about this, so hoping to break double digits in this video as it stands. But yeah, anyway, we still have a final game to win, and we are up against Jacub, who quite frankly has had an insanely dominant season. Like, he is, you see the record, he is 13-1 plus 37. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. He has been very, very dominant this season, and so we've got our work cut out for him and his team, and quite frankly, his team is terrifying. I mean, his first overall pick was Xerneas, and very deserving of being, you know, absolutely ridiculously threatening. And quite luckily for me, sorry, I'm already mixing up my words. Luckily for me, Xerneas does not have Geomancy, but unfortunately, that's still a frickin' Xerneas who hits insanely hard. And considering my two resists are a Gengar, which doesn't take hits well at all, it's even 2-hit KO'd by, I believe, uninvested Xerneas. I think that's just how strong it is. And Mega Mawile, who has no recovery. Yes, I do have marginal recovery in my Alolan Persian, but I'm actually not bringing that this game. So yeah, this is just going to be a very scary game. But at the same time, I still think that Trick Room, assuming that I can get rid of some of his biggest walls, and that's mainly the Hippowdon, Mega Mawile should be able to go in against him and his entire team. Now, I was initially planning to lead off with my Necrozma, as this is a Z Necrozma. I'll actually just go through the team really quickly. I know that's something that I haven't been doing, but I figured, you know what? It's finals. I spent a good amount of time on this team, and I might as well talk about it. I'm going to have a sub-split Gengar with dual stab, as it does very well against his team. I have an Assault Vest Dialga, as Assault Vest Dialga was my way of taking on Yveltal, and considering Xerneas is in a similar boat, but a little bit more terrifying a little bit more terrifying for my team, I should say. Then Dialga was like, well, okay, let's just run the AV on that thing. Mega Mawile is offensive, and I'm actually, even though I'm running a Trick Room team, I'm still running Adamant on Mawile, not Min Speed, because I'll be able to underspeed everything relevant, and his Hippowdon, if he decides to go like a minus speed nature with 0 IVs, he's going to be able to underspeed my Mega Mawile regardless. So if he does prepare for that in that regard, there's no way my Mega Mawile can outspeed it under Trick Room anyway. So I figured, okay, I'll just go Adamant and 4-speed, just in case outside of Trick Room I need to take out the Hippowdon, which this way I can spam Play Rough against his team. If he goes into his Hippowdon without Trick Room, then Play Rough into Ice Punch should be able to 2-hit KO, even a defensive. I believe it's a roll in my favor to kill a defensive Hippowdon with Play Rough into Ice Punch after Stealth Rock. And then the Necrozma is going to be a lead with Stealth Rock, knock off Photon Geyser, and Trick Room, just kind of set up Trick Room, set up rocks, just really kind of get the ball rolling, get up rocks and get up Trick Room so Mega Mawile can pressure his team immensely. But I'm also Psychium Z, I should say, on the Necrozma, because that thing against his team is really terrifying. Yeah, he does have the Umbreon, but knocking off that Umbreon will be really nice for my Gengar. So Necrozma is designed to lead off and just kind of be a general nuisance to his team. I have a Scarfed Alolan Persian for his Salamence, should he choose to bring a DD Z Salamence, which, considering he did bring it, I'm thinking that's exactly what it is. So Alolan Persian is a way to be able to just check that thing, no questions asked. And also I do have Switcheroo so that I can switch a Choice Scarf onto the Hippowdon should I need to do that later in the game. And finally, I have a defensively offensive Porygon 2. It's just kind of like a mixed a little bit in all of the stats except for attack and speed, with the ability to set up Trick Room, as +1 Tri-Attack should do a good amount to his team regardless. Now, I know that I did say I was going to plan on leading off with Necrozma, and yeah, that was really what I was intending to do. Almost every single situation, I was going to lead off with Necrozma. I could take a hit. I could take an Adamant Z Outrage from Salamence from full. I'd be able to have a very good chance of living a Specs Moonblast from Xerneas from full. or a Specs Modest Moonblast, I should say. A Specs Timid, I actually live guaranteed. So basically, Necrozma was designed to take any one hit, get up Trick Room, and then either get up rocks or get a huge hit off on something. But considering he did lead with the Smeargle, I did end up leading with my Gengar, as that was the only situation that I decided that I wasn't going to lead off with Necrozma, is if he did bring the Smeargle, then okay, Smeargle could set up hazards to try to really pressure my team, which, okay, would be a very, very good idea, and that'd be one of the ways that he could potentially beat me, because I think my matchup is pretty solid overall. So I'm going to lead with my Gengar, knowing that if he is just a standard Focus Sash lead to get up with a bunch of hazards, I will be able to sub on that thing and have my sub intact. Yeah, he'll be able to get up a couple hazards, but at the same time, my Gengar will be behind a sub, and I will have knocked out the Smeargle, and if he's a Scarf Smeargle and goes for Spore, well, then I'll know he's a Scarf Smeargle, and Gengar really... I mean, yeah, it's a very good offensive tool, but at the same time, Gengar isn't necessary for his team. Just being a grounded poison so that he doesn't T-Spike me, because that T-Spike could really, really hinder me, considering how much I'm putting on the shoulders of Porygon 2 and Necrozma. So just having a grounded poison, even if it is asleep, is enough for this game. So yeah, because he has the Smeargle, I'm going to lead off with my Gengar, and let's just go ahead and hop right on into it. Like I said, because he's leading off with Smeargle, I am going to lead off with my Gengar and go for sub immediately, because if he's slower, well, then I have a free sub, and very little he can do will break my sub. I think he has to be specifically designed to break my sub. I'm sorry for the drop frames immediately, but I mean, alas, that's what we have. And yeah, if he's faster in Spores, well, then my Gengar is still asleep, but then we know that Smeargle is Scarfed, and we can work around that. He is faster, but doesn't go for the Spore. Turned out he didn't actually have that. Goes straight for the Parting Shot, and I am going to sub up, as I knew he'd go into his Umbreon. I figured I could go for the Sludge Bomb, but considering the Smeargle was in, just going for sub immediately was the better play. Now, instead of just trying to fish for a poison on Sludge Bomb, I'm going to go straight into my Mega Mawile, just in case this Umbreon does have Pursuit. That way, if he did have Pursuit and went for it, well, I would still have the play, and I would still have my Gengar. So I'm going to go into my Mega Mawile, who is not Mega Evolved yet. I'm going to take a nice little chunk from the Umbreon, and considering I don't know what this Umbreon is, I don't know exactly what his team is yet. All I have is just the Scarf that is on his Smeargle. I'm going to go straight for the knockoff, as one thing that I was worried about was the potential of Rosalai Berry and counter on the Umbreon in order to take out Mega Maw, because otherwise Mega Mawile comes in for free on Umbreon every single time. I go for the knockoff, it's the Tanga Berry. He was very scared of SD, X-Scissor, Necrozma. So yeah, unfortunately, I am going to take a little bit more damage in the process of taking out this Umbreon. That's just kind of how it goes. So yeah, I mean, the Umbreon's down, which means Gengar is looking much scarier than it was beforehand, but my Mega Mawile took a huge chunk of damage, and I do not have the ability to bring it back up with the Persian. And guys, yeah, I really am sorry about the drop frames. I'm just dealing with what I have. I've tried to edit it a bunch, but there's really nothing I can do at this point. So I am going to go into my Persian so that I don't lose it immediately to his Salamence. As his Salamence, he makes a good play, just goes immediately for Earthquake, as I was like, okay, maybe he'll go up to +1, and I can just freely knock him out with Foul Play. But nope, free Earthquake, that is completely fine. Now I'm going to Parting Shot out, thinking that if he stays in, then he's going to Dragon Dance, or I do have a -1 on the Salamence, so I will be able to just go into my Porygon 2, but he does go into his Xerneas. That is completely fine with me. I'm going to Parting Shot out on that thing. Now the Xerneas is not in a great position because it is -1, and this gives me the opportunity to go into my Necrozma. I know I'll be able to take whatever hit his Xerneas wants to go for, and set up a Trick Room, set up Stealth Rock, really just whatever I want to do at this point. So he ends up going into his Lele, and with my Necrozma in immediately, I am just going to go straight for the Trick Room, as now, with his Umbreon gone, Necrozma is looking like a gigantic threat as well, because this Lele will come in, I do have the Trick Room up, and I'm immediately going to go for the knockoff, because if he specs, he will be able to 2-hit KO me, but without the specs, he will not be able to, as he does go for the Nature's Madness, and he does end up missing, which is unfortunate. But now I'm going to go for the Photon Geyser. I'm going to do a nice little chunk to the Tapu Lele right here, but unfortunately it will not quite be a 2-hit KO, as he is going to go for the Moonblast. It does a nice little chunk to my Necrozma, but that reveals that he's not very invested, and unfortunately, as much as I would like to not have to blow my Z at this point, I figured, okay, Trick Room's running out. I might as well just go straight for the Z Photon Geyser, which unfortunately is not light that burned the sky. That'd be really nice, but it is just Shattered Psyche, and with the Psychic Terrain up, that will be plenty of damage in order to knock out the Tapu Lele. So I'm already up 6-4, and really nothing on my team is damaged all that much. I mean, Mega Mawile is below half, but if I can get up Trick Room, I'll be in a fantastic spot. So I do have one turn of Trick Room left, so something's going to have to eat a Photon Geyser, a quiet Photon Geyser in the Psychic Terrain. Goes into Salamence, and I'm like, okay, probably won't KO, but this will still do a ton of damage, as unfortunately Trick Room will run out this turn. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to 2-hit KO the Salamence before he's able to take advantage of his Dragon Dance, but he does go +1/+1. Very good play by him. I mean, it makes sense. Trick Room's going to run out this turn, and I considered trying to sack off my Mawile to the potential Z move, but I was like, you know what? No, Necrozma did its job. It got Trick Room up. It was able to take out the Lele and put a huge dent in his team, take out the Salamence, put it in range of rocks. So while Necrozma is my rocker and I don't have another rocker, still I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just go ahead and sack off my Necrozma. It's not the one that I have my team built around. My team is built around Mega Mawile, so sacking off Necrozma really is not the end of the world. He gets a crit for good measure that literally did not matter at all, and you're also seeing that the Nature's Madness miss did not matter in the end, as now I'm going to go into my Persian, and either way, like, he wasn't going to be able to have the Z, or like his Z move would either not be used or he just used it right there. So yeah, Nature's Madness miss did not matter whatsoever. Now with my Persian in, I am going to go for the foul play to try to take that out. I wasn't wanting to go for knockoff just in case he went into the Smeargle, which he does, because Smeargle being scarfed is a whole lot better for me than Smeargle not being scarfed, because I will be able to take advantage of it like I do right now. I'm going to go into my Mega Mawile, and at this point I could click Play Rough and basically claim a kill, but I didn't know what the Hippowdon was. I wanted to, like, with the Hippowdon in, I didn't know if I'd be able to 2-hit KO. I didn't know what type of speed investment he was running, because in my mock battles I did see a couple speedy Hippowdons for the Mega Maw. So instead of just going for the Play Rough, I'm going to go straight into my Porygon 2, predicting the Hippowdon and being able to fire off a +1 Tri-Attack. Assuming the Hippowdon came in, I would get the +1, and then Porygon 2 would be in an amazing position. So now, with the Salamence in against my Porygon 2, I do have the +1, so I'm going to go straight for the Trick Room. Just try to put a little bit of pressure on his team and just see what happens from there. So yeah, the Xerneas comes in. I know that this Xerneas probably has a decent amount of bulk, as really, if he predicted the Trick Room, then he doesn't need to run a whole lot of speed on the Xerneas. But I am going to go straight into my Dialga, figure out what set the Xerneas is. I can avoid a 2-hit KO from the Xerneas going for Moonblast. I believe a Timid Specs I'm guaranteed to avoid a 2-hit KO, as he actually goes for a Calm Mind, and I'm like, oh boy. This isn't just a all-out attacking Xerneas. This is a setup Xerneas, and I'm assuming he doesn't have... Well, I mean, he could have coverage, but all he needs really against my team is Moonblast, because Gengar and Mawile do not take +1 Moonblast very well at all. He goes into his Hippowdon. Ironhead does a good chunk, revealing that this Hippowdon actually is not defensive at all. So I'm like, okay, what is this set? Like, Hippowdon only has max HP based on the damage it did there. So I'm really trying to figure out what the heck this is, as we do not see leftovers either. So I'm going to go straight into my Porygon 2. Hippowdon goes for the Earthquake, and I'm like, okay, is it an offensive variant? Because that could be good against me, but no, it does only 43 damage, and I'm like, okay, what the heck is this Hippo? At this point, I'm thinking that it's actually a Yachi Hippo to take on Ice Punch Mega Maw, as Mega Maw's only way of hitting Hippowdon significantly hard is with Ice Punch. So that's the assumption I'm working under, as now I'm going to go straight for the Tri-Attack. The +1 Tri-Attack does a decent chunk to the Xerneas, but as you can see, Xerneas has leftovers. The Trick Room wears out. I apologize for the dropped frames once again. And now Xerneas is actually going to go for a Calm Mind at this point. And wow, the drop frames are really, really bad on this. I am very, very sorry about that, guys. But nonetheless, nobody cares about Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon anymore, because it is... No one cares about Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon anymore, because it is Sword and Shield time. But I am able to set up a Trick Room on the Xerneas, as Xerneas goes for a Calm Mind, and I'm like, ugh, this is much less than ideal. So now I'm going to pull the switch into my Dialga, as I know I'm at full. even a +1 Xerneas will not do a whole lot of damage to me, and it's still going to do a very good chunk considering I'm a max SpDef AV, well, close to max SpDef anyway. Considering I'm a very, very SpDef AV Dialga, you're going to see that Moonblast is still going to do a really, really good chunk, and unfortunately gets the special attack drop on my Dialga. So while Dialga was basically going to be able to claim a kill at this point because of that special attack drop, I will not be able to go for Draco and KO the Hippowdon at this point, as I'm going to go for the Iron Head. I wanted to go for Dragon Tail, but I couldn't risk it against a +1 Xerneas, so I'm going to go for the Iron Head. Does a good chunk to Hippowdon, but now I am going to switch out, thinking the Hippowdon's either going to slack off or it is going to Earthquake, and so I'm going to go into my Persian, as there still is one more turn of Trick Room left, and you're going to see, it's kind of funny. What's unfortunate is that with my Persian coming in and the Sticky Web, because I have the Scarf, I will outspeed this Xerneas. Well, I'll outspeed the Xerneas naturally, but under Trick Room, Xerneas will end up outspeeding me. So what I really would have liked to have done was gone for the Switcheroo to get the Scarf onto the Xerneas to force it to be Choice Locked, because a Choice Lock Xerneas is much easier to deal with than a lefties Calm Mind setup Xerneas. So yeah, I unfortunately do underspeed the Xerneas in Trick Room, so he is able to take out my Alolan Persian, but this does give me the chance to go straight into my Dialga and get a very, very good chunk off on this Xerneas with an Iron Head. Even though it will be able to 2-hit KO me with Moonblast, I just kind of have to play it close to the chest from there. So he goes for the Moonblast. It is going to end up taking, or 2-hit KOing my Dialga, as my Dialga is going to go for the Iron Head, do a ton of damage to this Xerneas, as it is going to reveal to be lefties. I mean, we already knew that, and I will not be able to get another attack, as a Moonblast is going to KO me. So now I'm in a really peculiar position, because the Xerneas is lefties, it's still at a good amount of health. My main answer to Xerneas is gone. So it's just kind of okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to take out the Xerneas? I know for sure my way of being able to take out this Mon is through Trick Room and Mega Mawile. And we reach a little bit of a awkward situation at this point, because with my Porygon 2 in against the Xerneas, I, for whatever reason, think that I have Trick Room already up, and so I pull a hard switch into my Gengar, thinking that the Trick Room is already up. Xerneas is probably going to try to set up more on my Porygon 2. As it turns out, Xerneas did try to set up on the Porygon 2, goes for the Calm Mind, gets up to +1, and yeah, I mean, I think that the Xerneas does outspeed me at this point, because it would have to be a pretty slow Xerneas, even though I do have a good amount of speed on Gengar. I'm thinking that, okay, +1 Moonblast from Uninvested probably won't kill, so I can try to knock it out with a Sludge Bomb, even though the Xerneas is +1. Jacub's Xerneas is +1. So I'm going to go for the Sludge Bomb. As it turns out, Trick Room was not active, so I mean, it ends up working out in my favor at this point, because now I'm thinking that, okay, I'll be able to knock out the Hippo with Shadow Ball, as it doesn't knock out. And I honestly did not realize from the Sludge Bomb damage. I really should have calced. I was just like, okay, Hippo's fat. Yeah, Sludge Bomb does not do a whole lot to it. But no, the Hippo is max SpDef and AV. So that really, really sucks. Like, I did not calc that at all. And it comes back to bite me in the butt. So now my Gengar is gone. A huge, huge threat against his team is eliminated. But now the Hippo is very low. Any single attack will be able to knock it out at this point. So I'm going to go into my Porygon 2, try to set up the Trick Room once again, as I know that Mega Mawile under Trick Room, his entire team is in range of Mega Maw at this point. Mega Maw will one-shot every single thing. So all I need to do, get Trick Room up, get Mega Mawile in, and I will be able to win the game. So I still don't know what the speed on this Hippowdon is. It could be still a little bit of speed, but had I calced, I would have realized that it is max HP, max SpDef, so it doesn't have any way to run a whole lot of speed, enough to outspeed Mega Maw. So, I mean, that should have been an indication, but nonetheless, +1 Porygon 2. I was kind of hoping he'd go into his Xerneas, and I would be able to 2-hit KO that thing potentially, but unfortunately makes a smart play, sacks off his Smeargle, and now with my Porygon 2 in against the Xerneas, it was kind of a 50-50 as to whether or not he would Moonblast, predicting me to bring in the Mega Mawile, or would he try to set up on my Porygon 2? I get the 50-50 wrong, as he goes for the Calm Mind, so had I got in Mega Maw right there, I would have been able to knock out the Xerneas, no questions asked, but unfortunately that's just not how it goes, and I'm like, ah, crap, well, probably lose at this point. Maybe I can knock out the Xerneas with Tri-Attack, maybe +1 A +1 Moonblast will not be able to KO me at this range, but he does reveal the rest, and I'm like, oh crap, this is a rest Sleep Talk Xerneas. So yeah, at this point I'm like, okay, I have to go into Mega Maw. If he Sleep Talks Moonblast, I lose, but I have to put my faith in the 67% at this point, because if he does not Sleep Talk Moonblast, my Mega Maw will be able to live, and even though Trick Room will run out, I just have to bank on him not getting Moonblast in 2 consecutive Sleep Talks. So luckily I bring it in, he goes for Sleep Talk, gets Calm Mind. Perfect, that is 1 down. Now it is a 33% chance that he knocks out my Mega Maw, and if my Mega Mawile does knock out the Xerneas, then Porygon will be able to win the game. He does make the smart play, switches out the Xerneas, and sacks off his Salamence, so he does get back in his Hippo, and yeah, this is a really, really tricky situation. Like, my Mega Mawile is -1, so I'm assuming that I underspeed the Hippo. I knock out the Salamence, and what's kind of funny, what I didn't realize is his Hippo is actually 0 IVs minus speed, so my Mega Mawile outspeeds at this point. However, I don't know that. I'm still working under the assumption that his Hippo has enough speed to outspeed my Mega Mawile, or he is at least not... I'm under the assumption that Hippo is not minus speed and 0 IVs. So I'm going to go straight into my Porygon 2 because I'm thinking, okay, if I can get Mega Mawile in under Trick Room once again, then I win, absolutely no questions asked. He goes for Earthquake right there. Doesn't quite kill me as he goes for Ice Fang. Does a little chunk. I think he was trying to go for the flinch at this point against my Porygon 2. He does not get it. I go for the Trick Room, and I do get that set up, so I'm in an amazing spot. So I'm going to go for my +1 Tri-Attack once again to try to knock out this Hippowdon. As he does make the smart play, goes into his Xerneas, so Xerneas will very easily be able to take the +1 Tri-Attack, and he still has one more turn of sleep. One more turn of Xerneas sleeping in order to... And so, I mean, I have to just go into my Mega Mawile. I have to bank off the 33%. And what I didn't realize is with his investment, it's actually a complete 50-50 roll to knock out my Mega Mawile at this point, even if he does Sleep Talk Moonblast. So I'm putting all my cards in on this Sleep Talk and Moonblast roll. As he does, he goes for the Sleep Talk. If he gets Moonblast and knocks me out, I lose, but he does end up getting Calm Mind. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I win. Mega Mawile will be able to knock out the Xerneas in one hit with Iron Head. I will be able to knock out the Hippowdon because I am -1 speed thanks to the Sticky Web under Trick Room. So yeah, this should be a pretty easy. Mega Mawile cleans up the game. Mega Mawile knocks out the Xerneas. That's great. There's still one more turn of Trick Room up. That is all I need. But what I didn't realize, Hippo with 0 speed and 0 EVs underspeeds Mega Mawile even at -1 because I didn't go minus speed and because I went 31 EVs, or IVs rather. So he's able to outspeed my Mega Mawile under Trick Room and knock me out, which I'm like, oh crap, well, let's go into Porygon 2. Porygon 2, if he gets like a high roll or a crit, he might be able to knock me out and win the game. So I'm like, oh geez, this is so ridiculously close. And had he went for Earthquake instead of Ice Fang earlier, Earthquake would guarantee knock me out. And because my Porygon 2 is minus speed and 0 EVs or 0 IVs, then I do not outspeed this Hippowdon naturally. However, I do luckily take the Earthquake and I am able to knock out the Hippowdon with Tri-Attack. So once a frickin' again, Porygon 2 comes through absolutely clutch. I think, pretty sure every single game this playoffs has ended with Porygon 2 claiming the last kill. So Porygon 2 obviously for MVP. I mean, that was an absolutely insane game with Jacub. I mean, oh my lord, that was crazy. Came down to 10 HP. We both made some misplays here and there, but luckily, P2 clutched it out, so we are able to end Season 2 of APA Academy with a championship, and so that'll be my 5th championship, and I think this is a good time to announce that for the foreseeable future, I am going to be quitting the draft format, at least in an upload capacity. I might do something in like 5 months or something like that, but either way, 4th year of optometry school is coming up. I am going to be moving in with my girlfriend at that time as well. So just basically national boards, moving all around the country, moving in with my girlfriend will be just a little bit too much, I think, to commit to being able to fully, like, to give it my best effort and upload. So yeah, I'm very sorry guys, but I hope you enjoyed this ride. Thank you so much for supporting me all along the way. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.